close out our evening.
Everyone's favorite part of the night is the Q&A, right? Okay, good. All right. Should I answer this or as I wish? You guys want paper or this one? Start with one. Actually, there was one on paper. That's in my stand. Sorry. I left one in that stand. Someone asked me a piece. I'll start with this one, then I'll get that one. I'll go to this one. Peace with a decision can sometimes be from the devil! Exclamation mark. Even after you pray about it at times, how do you decipher God's voice? Thank you. Versus false peace from the devil, I'm assuming. So the basic question there is, how do you decipher God's voice versus the devil's voice versus your own voice? Okay, let's add a third category in there. And the answer to that question, again, I can't give you an exact formula, but what I can say is this. I say practice makes perfect. The example that I always give, I say if I walked into a room, all right, and there is 50 women in that room. There's 50 women in that room. If I walk into a room and there's 50 women, what are the 50 women doing? Talking. Okay. If I walk into a room with 50 men, what are they doing? Nothing. Okay. Most likely the women are talking. If you and I walk into that room and there's 50 women that are talking, can you decipher which of those voices is my wife, Mary Ann? Can you decipher which is her voice? Can you? No, because you don't even know who she is. Can I? Oh, yeah. I hope so, yeah. I can decipher her voice for two reasons. Just go with me on this one here. Two things that I have that you don't have when it comes to my wife, Mary Ann. Number one, I already said it. I know her, you don't know her. I have a relationship with her, you don't have a relationship with her. Number two, not only I have a relationship with her, you may have a relationship with her as well. Abuna Daniel, Abuna Bishoy, they met my wife, they have a relationship with her. But they don't listen to her every single day the way I do. Okay? I listen to her voice, and I hear her voice every single day. So because I listen to her voice every day for the past 15 years, it becomes a lot easier to decipher it. Agree? Logic. So you want to be able to decipher God's voice versus devil's voice versus your voice. You have to have a relationship with God, and you have to practice listening to His voice on a daily basis. You never read the Bible, you never pray, you never go to church. You got no shot of hearing God's voice. And the only way you're going to hear God's voice is when it's really loud, and it's really screaming, and you don't want to hear it when it's that. You want to learn to discern the little whispers of God? Then you start practicing hearing God's voice through His Word, through the sermon, through the readings, through your prayer. Like, you got to practice this thing. It's not an easy thing. The only thing that I can tell you, the one definite that I can tell you, is that you will never discern the voice of God unless you want to discern the voice of God. And I know that sounds like of course I want to, but Remember when Jesus went to the paralyzed man and asked him a silly question? Do you want to be made well? It's like, duh. Of course I want to be made well. Are you sure? Jesus asked us, do you want to hear my voice? We say, of course I do. Are you sure? Because if I tell you my voice, if you hear my voice, you have to obey it. So sometimes we go to God, asking God for His opinion on a subject. God, tell me your opinion, and then I'll discuss it with my brain trust, okay? And then I'll figure out what I want to do. God doesn't speak to that. So if you're not honest and sincere in your desire to obey God's voice before you've heard God's voice, you'll never hear God's voice. You come to me and say, Father Anthony, I don't want to know what I should do in this situation. All right? I ask you, are you going to listen to what I say? But if I know you're not going to listen to me, I'm going to waste my time. All right? So for sure, the devil does speak to us. And we ourselves, we have our own agenda. We have to have a relationship with God. We have to listen to His voice regularly, practice. And we have to be sincere in our being in neutral. Okay, whatever God says. Okay? Good? Raise your hand or shout out if there's a follow-up if I didn't answer the question properly. All right? Okay. If God knows my will, then He clearly knows my future. my every move before I make it. Okay? So God forbid, if he knows that I'm going to hell, why would he even create me? Okay? Okay, so I kind of addressed this in multiple ways, but let me make it succinct, because I kind of addressed this in different pieces. The person who's asking this question kind of tied several things together. So let me break it down. Does God know my future, my every move before I make it? Yes or no? Yes. Talked about that yesterday. Okay, and how the A and the Y, remember I said that in the business card? God has a bigger perspective. And yes, God knows what I'm going to do before I've done it. Does foreknowledge equal predestination? Said another way. Does me knowing what you're going to do determine what you are going to do? Like if I know you're going to do this, that doesn't mean that I forced you to do it, right? Like even at a non-God level, like at a human level. I know you, you know me. All right? Anytime you know me, you know I have a sweet tooth, and you know I always go chocolate instead of vanilla. I never choose vanilla, I always choose chocolate. You know that. So you bring two things ice cream in front of me, there ain't even a question. I'm jumping in the chocolate right away. You knowing that did not control the outcome, right? And you're just a human. So God, who sees all, yes, he sees all, but he doesn't control all in that sense. Does that make sense? All right? And I know, see, the problem is, the person who's asking this question is looking at it from a very, like this level. But when you see it from this level, like you're looking from a human perspective, the only way I would know something in advance is if I control it. But God is not at our level. So then, based on that, so God forbid, if he knows that I'm going to hell, why would he even create me? I answer that. Okay, God creates us all with a desire. Like if you want to talk about predestination, God predestined us to be conformed to the image of his Son and to live with him for all of eternity. That's his will. But he gives us the choice, because he gave us free will, to choose left or to choose right. All right? I'll add another one onto this. If God loves us so much, why does he send people to hell? If God loves us so much, why does he send people to hell? The answer to that question is, God does not send anyone to hell. If you want to know what God sends, you look in John 3:16, and you see that God sent his only begotten Son into the world, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Don't say God sends anyone to hell. If I jump in a river, and I'm drowning, and the lifeguard jumps in with me, try to save me, and I resist him, and I push him away, and then I drown, I cannot say the lifeguard's fault. I cannot say the lifeguard threw me in, or the lifeguard did nothing. He did everything in his power to save me. All right? Good? Back to the TV screen. and stop me when you want me to stop, okay? One more. Okay. How do you understand God's punishment on judges on Judgment Day? How do I understand it? Not good. Okay. To be honest, okay, kind of our traditional understanding of God's punishment is a little bit different than what you see in like movies and things like that. We don't view Judgment Day as a day where, you know, like you come in, you stand in the line, and God's like, no, it's not like that. What our view of Judgment Day, like judgment is a positive word or a negative word. Usually we associate it in a negative way. But can you make judgment a positive thing? Can judgment be a positive thing? Yeah. How about if I'm on trial, okay, and I get declared innocent? It's a positive judgment. Okay, or if you owe me something and the judge says you have to pay him, like judgment can be judgment just means a decision is made. And we usually, because we think of it in the negative way, look at it as the negative judgment. But judgment can be positive. So Judgment Day as we know it is everyone comes face to face with God. And when man sees God as light. Light. God is light. So light kind of has two different effects. Light enlightens, but light also can burn. And the same source of light will be to one a drawing light, and to another a scorching, burning light. The kind that makes me run as far away as possible. I read one meditation on Judgment Day. It says actually, this is just a meditation, okay? This isn't doctrine or anything like that. It says that when we come to the Judgment Day, it's not going to be God putting us into categories. It's going to be God appearing as light. And when God appears as light, you know how when you wake up in the morning and you haven't seen light and your eyes are groggy, okay, and you kind of do like this, and then you see a bright light and it hurts. And you're like, you know that? Well, imagine that you see that light and your eyes never adjust to it, and it's just so bright, and it's so bright. What are you going to do? You're going to run away as far away as you can. And that's what it says, is those who live in darkness on this earth, their eyes are not accustomed to the light. And then when they get to the judgment day, the light shines. And their eyes can't. So they run away. And they run as far away as they can. And that's what's called hell. But those whose eyes are used to the light, and who live with the light, and walked in the light, those will be drawn to that light. And will come near and near and near. That's called heaven. Okay? So don't look at it as God punishing us. All right? Thank you. Thank you.